This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics on the warm-up. I'm delighted to say it's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
And a very good morning to you, Mike, as well. And instead of besmirching my name...
What do you mean?
After after we were over at the O2 yesterday with Betsy...
Well, I was merely cataloguing your day, which seems to involve an awful lot of imbibing, that's all.
No, it didn't. But what it did involve is the Porky Curse in reverse.
Oh, yeah?
Because when I was there and watched the England team play mid-afternoon, victory of 3-1.
Yes.
But
by
when
a good goal scored by your good mate, Danny Murphy.
Danny Murphy scored a cracking goal,
He's not scored a lot of goals in his time, has he, Danny?
Oh, he scored quite a few.
Well,
and by the way,
but I mean, you wouldn't say Danny Murphy top goal scorer, would you?
Well, he was a midfield player, that's
what I mean.
Yeah.
So, quite unusual.
Yeah, but you don't have midfield players in six-a-side. You have all-action players, you know what I mean? So he's
very fit as well.
He's very fit indeed,
Did he come and talk to you afterwards?
No, because I was in the imbibery bar,
I see.
and Danny is a pure athlete.
You must have been well away by the time that game was over.
What do you mean? You mad?
What time did you leave?
About, let me see, what time did our show finish? 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
England came on at 3, about half 3.
Did you see Olivier Giroud again after the game or not?
I didn't see Olivier Dacour after you stitched me up during the show.
I did not stitch you up.
To apologise to him.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point is, so I leave, and on the way home, I did meet one or two...
how did you end up in the ring? I mean, the O2, right, is in North Greenwich, on the Jubilee line.
Yes.
Normally speaking, you would take the Jubilee line back to Waterloo and get on a British rail train to take you home to Stockbroker Belt, Surrey.
Absolutely right.
So how did you end up in the ring?
Well, I wasn't concentrating, and I got off a stop early.
I see.
Because the stop before Waterloo is Southwark.
Yeah, it's easily done.
And if you come up the stairs...
Did you think it was Waterloo?
I thought it was Waterloo.
Yeah.
And if you come up the stairs from Southwark Tube onto the road, right opposite, I mean, a mere 25 yards away, the ring.
Further proof, of course, that you were indeed bladderated.
No, I wasn't
bladderated. You got off at the wrong stop.
No, I wasn't bladderated. And I thought, well, I'll just pop in and say hello, because the windows were all open.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes for a very ambient atmosphere.
Indeed,
you know
very nice, yeah.
And I did...
And you met a couple of people there. One of whom put a picture... I can't find it at the moment, but I saw it earlier.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
And what time did you make it home, then? Was it still light?
Oh, goodness gracious, 5:30, 6 o'clock. But the point is, what I'm saying is, England played again last night, and guess what happened?
They lost.
They got walloped.
Yeah.
What was it, 4-1?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Yeah, I think it was. I wasn't there either, but I was told, the messages came back to me, walloped. You know, that's all I was told. Good question.
Yes.
Was it the favourite, Spain?
Denmark, I think.
Denmark?
Yeah.
Denmark, there you go. You see, I knew it was. The Danish.
Yeah. So France were playing Denmark as well, right?
Were they?
So that must mean that England and France were in the same group.
Could well have been.
Yeah. Well, we were there.
Yeah, we were there, that's right, but we were following it yesterday forensically. Today, we're not so forensic. But,
so today, presumably, is the semi-finals, is it?
Today is the semi-finals, absolutely right. Yeah.
Right.
When's the final?
Well, the final may be tomorrow.
It could be tonight.
Or maybe tonight.
Could be tonight.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated. It's good that we're at the absolute apex of knowledge of this tournament.
We will definitely update it, don't worry.
Now, let's talk about something far more interesting.
Yes.
Which is, of course, our discovery, well, I should say your discovery, really, of the world's most dangerous game.
Yeah, I know.
Bowl Taoshi.
What is it called?
It's called Bow-Taoshi, Taoshi. And I'm indebted to some members of our Twitter following.
Yes.
Because I put out, there's a video, which you spotted earlier on, of this game, right?
Yeah,
and what it shows is two teams, basically. They're dressed in what you might call, I suppose, the sort of clothes you'd wear for fencing.
Yes.
I'm saying, sort of white trousers. Well, one team's wearing orange tops, the other team's wearing white tops and grey trousers. There's a guy standing on the top of a pole in the middle of this group of people.
It's more like a log, isn't it? More like a log.
Yeah, well, it's a pole, basically. I mean, you told me it was a log, but I mean, it's a pole.
Yeah.
He's sitting on the top of the pole, and this team of people all around him protecting him. And these people in the orange jerseys are piling in, trying to get at the guy on the pole and knock him off. It turns out, so many of our listeners, actually, because I put out this video and said, does anybody know what this is?
That's right.
It looked like a Japanese game, and indeed it is a Japanese game.
Yes.
They're also wearing quite protective headgear, so that they get kicked in the head all the time.
Yes, that's right.
And the orange team are trying to get the guy who's on the white jacket off the top of the pole.
Yeah.
Turns out that apparently you have to try and move the pole to a 30-degree angle.
To an angle of 30 degrees.
Yeah, as opposed to 90 degrees, I suppose is what it's at.
Yes.
It's a fascinating game.
It's absolutely brilliant, isn't it? And what I really love is that the guys who are surrounding the bottom of the pole are 10 deep.
Yes.
All the way around the pole.
Yeah.
So
I must urge you to watch the video.
Yeah.
Please do go on to my Twitter, which is at IROMG, and it's on Mike Parry 8 as well.
That's right.
I'm going to put it on the two mics while we're at it.
Put it on the two mics.
And I'd love to hear from anyone who's ever played this game, to be honest, because I've never heard of it. It's been called the most dangerous game in the world.
That's right.
And it's played at sports days, apparently, are quite popular with Japanese companies.
That's right.
So when you have these sort of, sports days at companies,
they
have to protect the guy sitting on the top of the pole who is called the ninja.
Now, this is brilliant. We've done some research on this, okay?
Yeah, unusually for us,
Exactly. The ninja sits on the top of a large pole and the team defends the pole's position.
Yeah.
75 people on each team.
Yeah.
Is that the biggest team sport in the
world?
world?
Do you think Lewis Hamilton would be good at this?
I think he'd be very good
Only
at it,
because he's on pole position, that's why I'm saying.
I like that. He's on pole position.
See what I mean?
We haven't actually told our audience that it is Super Smasher Sunday today.
Well, did you not hear what I said at the start? I called it stupendously Super Sunday.
Yeah, Super Smasher
Sunday.
Super
Smasher Sunday sounds a bit tabloid to me.
No, this time last year it was all happening, plus the football in the Euros, but we won't talk about that.
England weren't still in it at this point, were they?
No.
No?
Yeah. I think it was the end of their campaign.
So they hadn't played Iceland yet?
I think it was the Iceland day. But we'll check that out as well. Anyway, listen, this game is taken so seriously in Japan by Towashi, right, that it's played by the National Defence Academy of Japan's annual induction of new cadets.
Okay.
And all 150 recruits go into the game.
Yeah.
So imagine at Sandhurst, right?
Yes.
And they've done the intense 8-month officer training course. Then at the end, to prove how good they all are, they play this game. And that's exactly what the best of the young Japanese defence officers actually do.
Yes.
And the aim of the game, as you quite rightly say, is to get the other team's pole to sit at an angle of 30 degrees while the defence must keep it perpendicular. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's an incredible game. It's kind of a scrum-based game because, it's the way that they hurl themselves at each other, which I find fascinating.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're wearing this headgear when they're getting kicked in the head.
It's brilliant.
Fascinating. So if anybody's out there who's ever played it or seen it properly played in Japan, well, we want you to call us. 08717 223344.
Excuse me, shall I give the number out properly?
Eh?
Shall I give the number out properly?
Slowly, yes, if you wish.
This is the non-mangled mouth version of the number to call us, please, if you know anything about the brilliant Japanese game Bo Tayoshi.
Yes.
Or you may have a view.
It sounds a bit like that guy from The Usual Suspects, doesn't it?
It does a bit, yeah. Right, 08717 22 33 44.
Yes. Now, there's an awful lot going on today. We've got
Certainly
Rupert
is.
Bell down at Wimbledon. Roger Federer going for his 9th title down there in the men's final against the Croatian guy, right, Mr. Marin Cilic. We've also got the British Grand Prix getting underway around about 1 o'clock. We've got Trent Bridge cricket going on as well.
And where is Trent Bridge near?
Where is it near? Well, it's near Trent Bridge, isn't it?
It's near the University of the Trent, isn't it?
Is it?
My alma mater.
Well, I assume it's near the Trent somewhere. Do you mean Nottingham Poly? Your alma mater?
No, the University of the Trent.
No, it's called the University of Trent now.
Yes.
But it wasn't called it when you went there. Therefore, you did not go to the University of the Trent.
But you see, that's like calling a Snickers bar a marathon. A Snickers bar is a Snickers bar, isn't it?
Eh?
A Snickers bar is a Snickers bar.
It is now, yeah. But when you bought one and it was a marathon, say, for example, if you had bought a marathon before they changed it, and you'd kept it in the fridge all this time, as you're about to bite into it, it's still a marathon. It's not a Snickers.
No, it is.
See what I mean?
No,
That's
it's not.
No,
it's not. It's a Snickers because it doesn't matter what it says on the outside wrapper.
it does.
That product is now a Snickers.
No, you're wrong.
And the what used to be Trent Polytechnic is now the University of the Trent.
That's correct.
So I refer to it properly on every occasion.
It doesn't matter. Mark says this: did Porky get home at 5:30 this morning?
No, I did not get home at 5:30 this morning. You would have found me at home by I don't know, 7:30 last night.
7:30? You told me 5:30 a minute ago.
5:30, it could have been 5:30.
Could have been. You don't know, do you?
Well, it was between 5:30 and 7:30.
Well, what about the train?
The train? What train?
Well, exactly. I mean, there's a train strike on currently, isn't there?
There's a train
Are you
strike
sure
on,
you were able to get a train home?
I got a train home amply and easily. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay.
No
Pete
problem.
says this: mistakes on public transport are a sure sign that no moderation in bladderisation was observed.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't understand the connection between the two.
Okay.
Do you?
Yeah, yes.
What?
Well, I mean, generally speaking, if you're, shall we say, slightly 7 sheets to the wind, you're more likely to get off at the wrong stop.
Oh,
I think that's what he
I see
means.
what you mean. No. I was just, my mind's so full of things at the moment, so full of facts, details,
Really?
things to be done.
Okay.
Yeah, all those kind of things.
All right, well, we've got loads and loads of things to do.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM, the warm-up with the two mics on Talk Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to the Two Mics on the warm-up on Talk Sport. We've got loads coming up, of course, the British Grand Prix underway in about an hour's time. We've got Roger Federer hoping to become the 8th winner of Wimbledon, the winner of Wimbledon for the 8th time, I should say, making a record, beating Pete Sampras and the other old bloke from the 19th century. And, of course, we'll be looking ahead to the Open, because we've got the Porky Quiz on the Open coming up a little bit later on. We'll have a 1-minute moan as well, 08717 22 3344. You're listening to the Two Mics with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. There will, of course, be a podcast coming out a little bit later on as well.
Yeah.
How about this from Whites? He says, from crazy golf to tiddlywinks, can't say you don't cover the breadth of sports. And then he says, both should be Olympic events, by the way.
Yeah, well...
the Olympics is going to become a laughing stock if you start putting crazy golf and tiddlywinks.
Of course it will. But that was quite an eye-opener. I didn't realise that so many people took it seriously, because it's just a, it's just a seaside game, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but obviously not. I mean, if there are World Championships held in Croatia...
That's right, yeah.
I mean, I was under the impression, really, as well, it was more or less a British kind of game. I didn't know they played it in all sorts of parts of the world.
Well, I've never seen it in Coney Island, you know what I mean?
No,
New York.
Now that you say that, I'm wondering if I've ever seen it in America.
Well, I don't think
Similarly, I mean, you do see it sometimes in these kind of resort hotels, sometimes overseas.
Yes, you do.
You have them, you know.
Yes, you do.
But I always assumed that's because they cater for British holidaymakers, you know.
A, British holidaymakers, and B, just to make the gardens more interesting next to the swimming pool, you know what I mean? But I do like playing crazy golf. I love it because it's...
It's easier than real golf.
It's easier than real golf, and also I don't think you can be skillful at crazy golf because the ball rolls on the curves of the concrete-built,
I mean,
hazards.
if you've got to putt it through the windmill, although, as our man there, Richard, told us, you can go round the windmill, which is an extraordinary thing to do.
Yes.
You have to be pretty accurate to get it in that little hole.
Absolutely.
You know?
Now then,
there is some skill involved.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure there's skill in the initial strike of the ball, so to speak. But, you're playing with a bent old putter most of the time, aren't you? Which has been, wrapped around somebody else's neck or something.
Well, it's not exactly state-of-the-art, is it?
No, exactly. Now, Jason says, taxi for Porky. Hang on, make that a bus, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Good old MG is sensible Mike. So people are trying to say that I've already sort of diverted off the straight and narrow this morning already.
I think there is some evidence to that. I mean, Jim says, I think Porky's job has stretched his mind so much it's snapped.
Yeah,
That's in reference to what you said earlier.
That's very harsh. Now, listen, there's a bit of a Japanese theme to the show this morning.
A lot of people are saying it's a great game, by the way. A couple of people say Sky Sports should get onto this and start actually televising it.
It's hugely watchable because in the space of about 2 or 3 minutes, you've got 150 blokes all fighting each other to try and catch the
We're
pole.
talking, of course, in case you joined us late, Bo Tayoshi.
That's right.
We still haven't found anyone who's played the game, but I'd love to find somebody who's actually either one, played it, or two, seen it live.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Because what I'm wondering is, do you, once the game that we've seen on the video, which is on Twitter, is that what sort of one set or one game, or do they continue with that, or do they change places? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know if it was the end of the military academy training where it's practiced in Japan.
No, but what I'm saying is, if you get the guy with the black shirt down and you're the orange team, is the orange team then on top of the pole?
I don't know the answer to that. The other thing I don't know is whether or not people go to arenas and watch this thing publicly. You know what I mean? Or whether it's just practice in school playgrounds. I don't know. But no, we do want to find somebody who's played it. The number, please, this is the non-mangled mouth version of the number.
I see.
08717 223344.
Indeed.
Now, the other Japanese thing that I want to interest you in this morning is this. For the first time, a supermarket in Britain, it is claimed, although there may be other supermarkets in on this, Aldi, is selling premium bottles of Japan's national rice wine, sake.
Oh, sake, yeah.
Sake, right. But they're selling it for £3.99, and it is claimed that that is at least 28 times cheaper than you would pay for a bottle in a London restaurant.
That's rubbish.
Eh?
That is rubbish.
Well, that's what the report I've got in my journal says.
$3.99?
Yeah, that's 28 times 4. So that's
28 times 4 is what?
420s are 80.
It's 102 quid.
No, it's 112.
112 quid.
4
8s is 32.
No, let me do it my way.
4 8s is 32.
4 20s is 80, and 4 8s is 32. Yeah. So that's 20 and 32 is 112 minus 28p.
What?
Because it's £3.99. It's not £4. So that's £112 Hang on. 72p. £112.72p.
You're talking 28 times 4, right?
Yeah, no, 28 times 3.99.
28 times
So
4.
put that in your pipe and smoke it. I've got it right.
32, 42's 112. That'll do. I've
112,
been
72.
to Japanese restaurants. I have not paid £112 for a bottle of sake.
Right,
that's rubbish.
What's it taste like anyway?
Funny enough, I went for a Japanese. And I'm not an expert on Japanese food by any means, but I went to this very nice Japanese restaurant with my daughter in Camden, and they have a cold sake menu and a warm sake menu. So you can I always assumed it was always served warm, right? Because it's meant to be rice.
This is liquid served warm?
Yeah, it's a rice wine, but it's meant to be originally served warm.
Do you mean like, when Christmas is on the agenda, you see on the bar counter, have a hot toddy.
A hot toddy or like mulled wine. Mulled wine, like that.
That's right,
yeah, it's like that. So you serve it hot normally.
Yeah.
But I didn't know you could serve it cold, but they had a whole menu of cold sake.
Ah.
And we went through the menu and quite liberally drank quite a lot of it.
Yes.
But it was nowhere near as expensive as that.
Well, that's what it says it is.
No, absolute rubbish.
I wonder if it'll take on, if it'll catch on in this country. Because Japanese food's something I've never tasted. I just
You've
don't
never
like
tasted it?
I don't like the look of it.
Really?
Well, it's all uncooked.
No, it's not. That's not true.
It is.
No,
it's all raw
rubbish.
fish.
Have you never had Kobe steak?
No.
Kobe steak is that amazing, the Kobe beef, which is hand massaged, right?
Yeah.
They massage the animals while they're still alive.
Very expensive.
It's very expensive, but it's very tender and very good.
Yeah, but I don't like to think of the fact that the animals are being actually manipulated in life to provide a human being with a more tender steak when it's dead. That's pretty downright wrong to me. That's like eating foie gras.
Foie gras?
Foie gras. Yeah, I'm not into that at all, honestly,
really?
I have to say.
Oh, well, thank you very much for letting us know. How about this from Happy?
Yes.
He says, a Porky Parry course would be too easy. He's talking about crazy golf. Yeah. If you had to hit a ball through a replica of his enormous trap. That's from Adrian.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to respond to that sort of thing. Just what I would call blind and bald insults have absolutely no effect on me unless they are linked to some sort of intellectual point that you wish to make.
Here's an intellectual
because that's
point.
what this show's all about.
White says, Porky's maths, I'm losing the will to live.
I'm losing the will to live. Yeah. Well, I got it right though, didn't I?
Well, you did in the end.
Yeah.
It took quite a long and torturous route.
Well, hang on. Let's just tell people what went on in this studio, okay? What went on was I worked it out in my head in about 30 seconds flat.
No, you didn't.
And
you didn't.
You used your electronic device as a calculator.
No, that's right.
Yes, you did.
No, I did not.
You cheat.
No, I
you
didn't.
did.
No, I didn't. What are you calling me a cheat for?
Because
you're a complete idiot.
No,
I was listening to you mangling up the mental arithmetic. That was what was so amusing.
Yes.
Anyway, now it's time for this.
Right. Now, that music means only one thing. It means it's time for the 1 minute moan. We would have normally done it yesterday on the warm-up, but it was all a bit hectic down at the old O2. Yes.
And we were watching an awful lot of football. Very kindly, by the way, so a couple of people have told us what the actual state of play is coming up today.
Yes.
So we might give you that a little bit later on.
Good.
In terms of the semi-finals and final and all that
great.
kind of stuff. Now, are you ready to do your 1 minute moan?
Yes.
Would you like to go first?
Yes, I'll go first.
OK, well, in that case, could we please start the clock now?
Right, my 1 minute moan is about policemen. I have become aware this week that police uniforms are being designed and ordered by police forces across the nation with waists of up to 61 inches.
Correct.
Now, 61 inches is gross, obese, fat, call it what you like, but it is not a human being who is equipped to become a policeman. If I fall in the canal and I'm drowning, I do not want some waddling bowl of lard coming along to the edge of the canal with a 61-inch waist to jump in and save me, because he wouldn't be able to.
Well, he'd got all the water out, wouldn't he?
He wouldn't, and he would not be able to save me. If I'm being mugged in the street and the mugger runs off with all my possessions, my wallet and my money, I do not want a 61-inch waisted policeman to suddenly appear and say, oh, I'm sorry, I've got no chance of catching him. Get after him, catch the villain and get my possessions back. It is outrageous that policemen can get so fat as to have a 61-inch waist. It's wrong. It should not happen. I am demanding as a ratepayer that you put a 40-inch waist limit on a policeman.
40? OK. Well, at least you did it on time, which is a major
perfect
victory.
timing,
well done.
Perfect.
Very perfect for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Producer Dave, of course, will be judging whether yours is better than mine.
Yeah, well, I think he already knows.
Does he? Right. What are you going to do now?
What am I going to do now?
Yeah.
I'm going to start the clock for you.
Thank you.
Got your 1 minute
forgotten,
ready?
hadn't you? You'd forgotten.
Right.
Well,
Sorry.
you've got a bit early.
Stop. Sorry.
What's she doing?
Sorry. She's jumped the.
No.
Jumped the.
You can't organise anything, can you?
Jump the starting.
You can't even
grid.
organise a clock.
Well, if you just shut up, we can just get on with it. Right.
All right, go on.
Okay. Please start the clock.
England have won the European Under-19s Championship.
Yeah,
if I hear anybody else telling me how great England are going to be in the future, I'm going to have to strangle somebody. We already know this is the third title for England's youth teams in 2 months after everyone said England won the World Cup with the Under-20s tournament. And, of course, they won a too-long tournament as well. And then, of course, we had the Under-21s getting all the way to quite far in another tournament that nobody cares about. And the problem is, right, none of these players are actually going to make their way into any Premier League team. We're going to hear all that again. We're going to hear people talking on TalkSport endlessly about how interesting the future's going to be, and how St George's Park is the centre of excellence, and how England are going to be world beaters in about 20 years' time.
Yes.
Guess what? None of that is going to happen. Nobody is going to win anything playing for the England senior team as long as Gareth Southgate's in charge of it. And until they come up with a completely different way of playing football at international level, all of these young people playing in these tournaments that nobody cares about are completely and utterly irrelevant. And nothing but boredom is going to come from it. And that's my moan of the week.
Well, I think yours was terribly negative, to be honest. I think we should celebrate the fact...
Well, how do you make a moan positive?
Well, no.
What the hell are you talking about?
But you are moaning about something which we should be celebrating, and that is that another England international team has won another tournament.
You might as well just have a tournament every week.
How can you moan about that?
Well, you might as well have a tournament every week and go, isn't it great, we've won another tournament. It's the kind of thing you would do if you were in charge of the FA. Let's have another tournament and win it and make everybody feel good for no good reason.
It's very negative.
It's not negative. Yeah. Producer Dave will tell us who's won coming up very shortly. Oh, I've already won it. I'll tell you about Hawaii coming up next.
Hang on.
This is Talk Sport.
Right, I'm telling you, there's going to be trouble here.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM, the warm-up with the two mics on Talk Sport.
Where is my mind? Where is my mind?
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. This is the warm-up, of course. We're here every Sunday in July.
Well, listen, before we do all this, because you're diverting, I want an investigation, please, into the result of the 1 minute moan.
Well, Dave,
have you seen how many people are supporting me in this?
Hardly any. Hardly any.
No surprise MG criticising the England football teams as he's Scottish. Not only that, but the judge is Welsh.
The judge is Welsh.
I can reveal from behind the scenes here that the judge who is Welsh, the producer of this
Dave,
show...
the Welsh producer,
a man called Dave, said... I'm with MG.
Yeah, well, he's the judge.
And because I'm a Welshman. That is a racist interpretation.
Incorrect.
And decision.
I'm absolutely untrue.
Lauded upon me. You're a Scotsman. The judge is a Welshman. You were criticising England football teams, and lo and behold, you win the 1 minute moan. Well, I've got half a dozen here saying,
tactics.
Porky, you were absolutely right about policemen.
All right, read me out your six half a dozen tweets that say you won.
We don't have time to do that. We don't have time to do that.
I will read you the ones that say I've won it, right? Patrick says, get the champagne out, MG. Yeah. You've won that 1 minute moan. Hands down.
Rubbish.
El Planco is useless.
Rubbish.
White says this, MG wins. All that England stuff is overrated. The FA national system is flawed.
No, it's utter rubbish. People here saying that for years now I've thought the policemen are getting bigger and bigger. Porky, you're absolutely right to call for a deadline of 40 inches, okay?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, you know all that maths that you did? All that maths that you did?
Oh, one here as well.
It was wrong. Excuse me, it was wrong.
No, it wasn't.
It was wrong.
No.
Several people have pointed out, after all that, Porky was £1 out. It's £111.72.
Yeah, of course it is. It's 112 minus 28.
Yeah, you take the 28 away rather than add it, which is what you did.
Yeah, I realise that. Don't be silly, of course. Now, another one here from John. He says, even the 1 minute moan is gerrymandered for low face to win. Your rant was spot on, Porky. And Liverpool fan here called Old Scoutsmo, savage but true, and made me laugh.
Oh,
okay?
Yeah. Well, that doesn't mean he thought you won, though, does it?
Well, he's actually...
The trouble with you is you think people want you to win, but actually they don't.
Yeah, actually, he was talking about my prediction that Everton would finish above Liverpool in the Premier League, I think.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. So you're just making it up again as normal.
No.
Yeah, you are. Luckily enough, because it's Sunday, what we like to do on a Sunday is give a little bit of spiritual guidance. So it's now time for this. Sounds more like the abominable Dr. Fibes,
Yeah.
doesn't it, than the actual sort of cathedral music. However, it is time for the Porky Sermon.
Okay.
This is where I read a passage from the good book.
Yes.
You then interpret it.
Yes.
Now, this selection today has been chosen from Matthew 7, verses 13 to 14.
I know it well.
Do you? And it says this: Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
There
I
you
like
go.
that very much
Sounds
indeed.
like it's about the A21.
No, it doesn't. Enter through the narrow gate,
Yes.
okay? For wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction,
Yeah.
and many enter through it. Now, what this means is, do not thrash out and seize every small opportunity that you perceive in life, okay?
Yes.
The way to a quality life is to bide your time and find the right opportunity in which you can turn on your booster rockets and forge ahead in life and become something different to the rest who are pouring through the wide gate like people pouring over the Tyne Bridge every morning going to work. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
That's what this means. Now,
Yes.
the small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. That means that if you really apply yourself, if you really take to reading the wisdoms of the Almighty, whichever Almighty you follow,
Whichever one that is.
whichever one that is, okay, you will eventually get there. You will eventually get to the position in life where your mind and your body are at one with the actual perception of life you had as a child and what you wanted to achieve in life as you grew up, okay?
Like sort of Nirvana.
Nirvana, and it will eventually lead to your belief that there is life beyond life, okay?
Yes.
And when you reach that point where you have actually connected life beyond life, you then actually are in paradise because you believe that your life is then eternal.
I see.
And that it does not just matter that the overcoat of your spirit, of your clinical body is the only thing that gives you life.
I
It
see.
isn't. Life is within the overcoat of the clinical body, and life is released from the clinical overcoat of the body. You have to focus on life, what you want in life when you've decided it's there. And you may have to wait decades for this moment to come, then go with it and achieve what you want in life. Nirvana was a good word that you introduced into this.
Yes.
It is in fact getting there, and spiritually you are complete. That's what it means. Matthew 7, 13 to 14, I think, is a complete and utter demonstration of how to do it.
Rob says this: to wind up Porky, can the producer please turn the music up gradually louder and louder throughout the sermon as he's talking?
but then you wouldn't be able to hear me.
I think that's what he means. And of course, White says, smells like a load of old rubbish. We can't actually say what he did say.
Yeah.
But that's a reference, of course, to Nirvana's album, which you would know.
What?
Smells like Teen Spirit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
You don't know about that?
No.
Okay. Right. Well, coming up very shortly, of course, we're going to be underway at the Grand Prix up at Silverstone. Are you ready for all of that?
Well, I'm very excited because the most exciting 30 seconds in all the sport for me is the first corner, the approach to the first corner in a Grand Prix race.
I think I'm predicting fireworks.
At the first corner?
Well, possibly.
Yeah.
Certainly during the race, because I think Vettel is going to be so fired up.
Yes.
After having made an apology to Hamilton.
Yes.
After having run into the back of him and then into the side of him and deliberately hitting him.
And then having invited his boss to his birthday party,
and
which
all
his
of
boss
that.
attended.
All of that. So,
Lewis Hamilton's boss, I mean.
Yes. And it's all of that. So, I mean, fortunately, it gets underway in 10 minutes. And right now, we can go, of course, to Graham Courtney, who's watching it for Talk Sport. Graham.
Yes, and of course, Lewis Hamilton on pole position, record 5th time in the British Grand Prix as well, equally the record set by Jim Clark. Alongside him, Kimi Räikkönen in the Ferrari, and you're absolutely right, on the second row is Sebastian Vettel, who of course is 20 points ahead of him in the World Championship table, and alongside him the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. Then third row, Nico Hülkenberg in the Renault, with the Force India of Sergio Perez next to him. The other Brit in the race, Julian Palmer, he's actually doing pretty well, you know, he's steadily improving. He's in 11th place. And spare a poor old thought for Fernando Alonso. Honda have just about rebuilt the entire engine on his car. He's been given a 30-place penalty, which is a bit clever, as there are only 20 places on the grid. He starts at the back. So, looking forward to it. It's Hamilton on pole. 52 laps, 200 miles, British Grand Prix underway, 1 o'clock.
That's terrible, isn't it? How do you get 30 car penalty if there's only 20 cars? You have to wait for the last car and then go another 10 back.
Well, no.
How does that work?
No, you just go right to the back of the grid, don't
Or
you?
does it carry over so that you go 20 to the back of the grid and then you've still got another 10 in the next race?
I suspect it's the maximum penalty because there's 20 cars in the race, you see what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if you're on pole, you go right to the back, you see what I mean? So, but if you're halfway down, you go to the back anyway.
Now, I've got some news for you.
Oh, yeah.
Breaking news, I can tell you, because it's just being broken on a couple of news sites at the moment. Jose Mourinho has announced that he's going to stay for another year in the Lowry Hotel.
Yeah.
And he's also revealed that he's going to be doing it with the aid of Deliveroo. Do you know who Deliveroo are?
Deliveroo bring you your food, don't
That's
they?
right, yeah.
That's right,
apparently he survived all of last year on takeaways.
Right.
Because he didn't want to go outside for fear of being snapped by the paparazzi.
Or just bothered, Well, I mean,
he sent out for takeaways from all sorts of different Manchester eateries, and they were all brought to him by Deliveroo.
I mean, that is...
It's a weird life, that, isn't it?
An astonishing decision, because, you know, you and I have been away on jobs for long periods of time, and you get cabin fever. I think we were in South Africa for about 6 weeks, and although you went to other venues for games, you always returned back, you know, of the day
but
after.
at least when you were there, you were in a house, though, weren't you?
We were in a lodge. It's called a lodge. It was a very nice lodge and all that, but nevertheless, you're living with another, 16 guys for 6 weeks. And...
No, well, that's a different thing, but I mean, the reason I would say a lodge is is better than a hotel for that length of time is because you can get up and make yourself a cup of coffee or, maybe...
No, actually, you couldn't. You had to go to the kitchen for it and all that kind of stuff.
What, you mean you had to ask somebody to make it for you?
No, you could get it, but you had to leave your room to go to it. You
yes,
see what I mean?
no, but that's what I mean. I mean, that's more like normal life.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have to get up and make yourself a sandwich at home, you have to go to the kitchen, don't you?
Yeah, you do, of course you do.
That's what I'm saying.
I suppose you're right.
Whereas you're in a hotel, even if you want just a bowl of cereal, you have to go to the restaurant, you have to order it, you know what I mean?
Surely his accommodation there will be a suite verging on a self-contained flat, won't it?
Well, I don't think so, because, he's ordering food in, so I don't know that... in a normal hotel, you don't have cooking facilities.
No, that's true.
Even though it's maybe the most luxurious room you've ever seen.
You sure it won't be an apart-motel or whatever, you know what I mean?
As far as I know, not, because I would have thought Jose Mourinho's the kind of guy that would like cooking.
Yeah, well,
but he appears to be living off takeaways.
But I have to say, it would drive me nuts, but, if that's the way he wants it, and he's going to have a successful season, then fine. Now, talking about Jose, right... Yeah. I just want to compare two stories about Gareth Bale, okay?
All right.
Now, one story is written on the back of a Sunday newspaper. I'm not going to identify the paper because I think it's such a weak story.
Yes.
But it actually says, Real Madrid may be prepared to sell Gareth Bale this summer as they look to raise enough money to sign Kylian Mbappe, okay?
Yes.
He's obviously the young Monaco kid. And their strap across the top, their main headline, look at this, Mike, says Bale for sale, right? But it's immediately, so that's where your eye goes to. It's immediately qualified by a strap across the top. It says, Real Madrid could, they put the word could, be ready to sell Welsh star.
Right.
Now, to me, it's just a flyer.
Yeah.
It
totally is. But you know as well as I do, that a lot of Sunday newspaper football journalism has to be driven by that sort of story, because particularly now, where there's nothing happening, it's even more difficult for them to find stories to write.
It would have been a much stronger story if it could have included the words on the verge of or something like that.
But it's not true, though, is it?
Well, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'm not proud of being a Fleet Street journalist with that story, but I'm not blaming anybody.
No.
It's extraordinarily difficult to come up with strong page leads on Sunday papers in this day and age. However...
Yeah, but if you were running that particular paper
I would not have had that story.
That desk, you would not have allowed that story to appear.
I would not have allowed that story to appear.
You would have gone back to them and say, come up with something better.
Yeah, exactly. Just drop Bale. If that's the strongest we've got on Bale, drop it and find something else. Simple as that.
Yeah.
However, I then, in another newspaper this morning, read a terrific account of a chap who was out in America and paid a lot of money to go to Pebble Beach.
Oh, yeah.
The golf
course, yeah.
Yeah, the golf course.
I've only ever played Pebble Beach on a screen. Do you remember in the City Golf Club?
Yeah.
Where they used to actually have a golf screen, and you could hit the ball into about 7 different golf courses.
Yes.
And you know that great hole at Pebble Beach where you hit across the ocean?
That's right.
I played it on the screen.
You played it on the screen,
but
okay.
not in real life.
Not in real life, okay. But this guy goes out there, he's with some mates, I don't know whether it was a stag or something like that, but he tells a story of paying £536 to play on Pebble Beach.
Wow.
But none of his other mates wanted to go.
Okay.
So he's waiting there to tee off, and the bloke who runs the place gone and said, "Look, sir, I'm awfully sorry, we don't allow people to go out on their own."
No.
He said, "Okay, so we've got a partner for you."
Yes.
He said, "Oh, really?" He said, "Yeah, there's a chap here from Britain, actually."
Okay.
And it's Gareth Bale.
Was it?
Who was over there, in LA.
Yeah.
Who plays off 5.
Yes.
He's a great golfer.
Yeah.
And teamed up with him.
Did we not hear that he was building a par 3 course in the back of his house in Wales?
He may well be.
I think he is.
He may well be. Anyway, somebody's then got hold of this guy and talked to him, And the one great line in it said that, no, Gareth had a laugh with me. He said every summer Manchester United try to buy him.
Yeah.
He says, and every summer he tells them, I'm very happy in Madrid, I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
Now, that completely contradicts the other story.
Although they're not saying that he wants to go.
No.
They're saying that Real Madrid may be on the verge of selling him, or maybe considering selling him.
Yes, OK, I totally agree. What you're saying is it might not be Gareth Bale's decision,
It may
even
not
if
be.
he wants to stay in Real
Because
Madrid.
Guillaume Balaguer, again, who we spoke to yesterday, was saying that, because I'd asked him whether or not Gareth Bale was ever going to kind of take over the mantle of Ronaldo.
Yes.
And he said because of his injuries, that's not really been possible.
No.
And Ronaldo still is very much there and not going anywhere. So
Yes.
as long as Ronaldo's there, Bale will never become Ronaldo, if you know what I mean.
No, that's right. I totally agree. Nevertheless, there is no evidence anywhere in the football world, including the game yesterday, he would have told us, that Real Madrid want to offload Gareth Bale. In fact, he actually indicated it was the other way around, didn't he?
Talk Sport. Available on all mobile devices.
So here it is.
Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. White has tweeted in at the Two Mics. He says Doctor Who should just make the TARDIS appear during the presentation ceremony. Now that would be a good PR stunt for Doctor Who. But let's go back to John Norman, who's watching the second test, of course, England-South Africa. England missing a few chances at Trent Bridge. John.
Yes, they need everything to go their way, England, if they're to claw their way back into this match. But the reverse has occurred. 101 for 1 South Africa. And we've had just a couple of moments as Mark Wood's into the attack. The ball whistling past the outside edge of Dean Elgar's bat, but no contact made. I mentioned when I was in the bulletin that England should have reviewed a caught behind decision. A fine edge from the bat of Hashim Amla, caught by Bairstow. And the fielders kind of went up, as did the bowler, but they didn't review the not-out decision. They should have done because Snicko showed that there was an edge from the bat of the batsman. So that was one let-off. And then Dean Elgar, the other batsman, dropped a vicious chance that Jimmy Anderson, diving full stretch at the gully, put down the chance. But there was also a chance for a run out with the batsman at the non-striker's end, halfway down the pitch and having to be turned back. But Ben Stokes firing the ball at the wrong set of stumps. So these are the moments that England need to go their way if they're to drag their way back into the game. But they're not as it stands. South Africa leading by 231. They're 101 for 1.
John, thank you very much indeed. That's the second test down there at Trent Bridge, of course. Now, we've got the 1 minute moan coming up a little while. We've got Porky Quiz. We've got a Porky sermon as well, because it's Sunday. So lots of very interesting spiritual guidance coming your way a little bit later on. Let's talk to a man now who's done something rather unusual, though. Richard Gottfried has played mini golf around this country more than 700 times at more than 700 courses.
Unbelievable.
Let's find out what it's all about. Richard, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Morning, hello.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Now, some people might say you've obviously got far too much time on your hands.
Well, it's looking at things to do in the evenings and weekends. I work in an office. I want to get out and about and explore everything that the country's got to offer.
Right. Yeah, well, that's fantastic. So, am I right in thinking, Rich, most of these mini golf courses you will have gone to will have been on the coast because, of course, they're very popular in places like Colwyn Bay and down in Gosport where I live, and perhaps in places like Blackpool.
Exactly. Well, we started off in Southsea. We played down in Gosport as well. And,
right.
Yeah, hot spots like Skegness, Hastings, Worthing, New Brighton, mostly at the seaside. But then there are a few mini golf hotspots. So in Carshire, just off the M62, there are 6 courses in about 1 square mile.
Really?
Which is really random. Yeah.
Golly.
In Carmarthenshire, did you say?
That's in Castleford, in Yorkshire.
Oh, Castleford, sorry.
Yorkshire, I see. But, I mean, what is the fascination for you, Rich, of a mini golf course? Because the crazy golf course, I suppose they're called as well, because don't they basically all have the same sort of objectives, to get a ball through a hazard and obviously into the cup at the end?
Windmill.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got the same objective of, from the tee to the cup, but every course we've played is completely different.
Really?
I mean, you might see a windmill on one course, but then the blades will rotate at a different direction or timing. Some of the courses are really short, so we've played some holes which are only like a metre long.
Yeah.
There's a course down in Brighton which was really random, but in New Brighton they've got a course, and in Wrexham as well they've got courses that are like scaled down versions of holes from big golf, like famous holes from St Andrews, they're like 50, 60, 70, 80 yards long, so they're offering more of a challenge. Yeah, you still find windmills, the occasional clown's mouth, not all that often. But in Romford, there's a course, and it's based on a legend that a whale washed up in the River Thames in the 1600s.
Yes.
And it's themed about that, and you have to putt through a gigantic whale's mouth.
Sounds like one of Porky's stories, that, a whale that washed up on the banks of the Thames in the 16th century.
How dare you?
Porky, maybe you could design a crazy golf course, actually. Porky-themed crazy golf course.
It's not a bad idea. Yeah. Rich, do you take your own putter? Are you allowed to take your own putter so that you've got, your own grip on your own, bit of shaft and all that kind of stuff?
You are allowed to. Some courses allow you to take your own kit, but I like turning up at a course, paying a few pounds for a round, getting a scorecard, getting the pencil there, and going around and having a round. But we have got our own professional equipment. We have played in tournaments. There is a tournament scene, and the World Mini Golf Federation is aiming to get Olympic inclusion. There's a World Championships in Croatia.
No, this can't be true. Hang on. Crazy golf.
Well, no, but it's mini golf. It's not crazy golf. I'll tell you what I saw. I don't know if you know this particular track, Richard, which may not be the right word, but just off the A20 as you come out of London before it becomes kind of Bexley Heath. Or just south of Bexley, actually, in sort of Chislehurst. There's a mini golf course there. I came in last Sunday that way, and it was absolutely mobbed. I mean, there were people queuing up to play. It looked like there was about 3 groups on each hole. I mean, is it having a kind of resurgence, this sport?
Yeah, I mean, now's an absolute boom period. Yeah, that course down there, the Mr. Mulligan's Dinosaur Adventure Golf course down there in Sidcup, Chislehurst way. We've played tournaments there, the Kent Open tournament, and it's held British Open events where players from all over Europe have descended on the course. So there's a thriving competition scene, but yeah, amongst the general public, it's massive. It's a really good business to be getting into, I imagine, if you're a course owner. Because
this is putting ideas into my head. Yeah, as you say, good business to get into if you're a course owner, and you had the Porky Parry course and all that kind of stuff. What would you think about that, Rich? A Porky Parry, two mics themed golf.
I think that'd be a great
course.
idea.
Yeah?
Yeah. Putting through a radio presenter themed course could be interesting.
There'd have to be a bottle of Bollinger involved at some point. You can put it into a bottle of Bollinger, spin the bottle around, and make it come back out the other side.
I totally agree. Now, Rich, with this worldwide interest in this, I'm assuming that somewhere overseas there are actually professional mini golf course players.
Yeah, well, there are some in the UK as well. I mean, we played in lots of tournaments, but in the US there are a few players that make some money. I mean, there's not a huge amount in the game, but one of the most famous players is Olivia Prokopova. She's the public and current world crazy golf champion. She's currently in the US at the moment, training and preparing for the US Open, which is taking place soon. But yeah, I mean, the countries where the sport side of things is really big. You're looking at Germany and Sweden, where they've been playing on specific types of lanes, as they call them, or as you say, tracks.
Yeah, sure.
Since the 1950s, and it's taken as a really serious sport over there. Whereas here, I always think that if you're playing crazy golf, it should be seen as good fun.
Yeah. So, Richard, we've got to wrap this up, I'm afraid. Have you played on every single course in Britain, or are there still more to go?
There's still more to go. We've got about 150 left to go. When we first started, there were around 600 courses. We've hit 715 in the UK now, and 28 overseas. But yeah, 150 more to go. But when we reach that, with one course opening up every week,
right.
Who knows when it's going to end.
And what's the hardest hole in Britain, as far as you know? I mean, because whenever I've played crazy golf, there's always one hole where you just pick it up and walk on, because you just can't make it work.
The killer hole for me is any hole where it's a big volcano where you're having to put up a hill.
Yeah,
I see.
That's one of the tricky ones. That and loop-de-loops always seem to get me out.
Right. Okay. Would you say that you are one of Britain's top mini golf, crazy golf players?
Well, of course he is. He's played 700
holes.
Well,
no. But I mean,
courses.
I mean, do you have a secret technique which you can't tell us, which makes you better than most?
Yes and no, but my top tip, if you're playing in a tournament, and if you can, always play around the windmill. Don't play through it.
Right. Okay, that's a good
tip,
tip.
because that dodges the sails. But yeah, I've played in tournaments. I've won a few events. I used to be ranked number 5 in the UK.
Oh.
So yeah.
Yeah, you're a top player.
Well, it's very exciting stuff,
Brilliant.
Richard. Sorry, we're running out of time, unfortunately. I didn't know you could do that. If there's a windmill, surely you've got to play through it.
Well, I thought you did.
You can't just go around
the windmill. Yeah, I don't know.
That's rubbish, isn't it? You can't do that. What's the point? You might as well just play around all the obstacles then.
Maybe that's a trick of the trade.
Maybe that is a trick of the trade. Interesting stuff.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM, the warm-up with the 2 mics on Talk Sport.
It is time for the Porky Quiz. And what we're going to be doing now is recalling the envelope, please, because producer Dave is going to have to bring in the Porky Quiz questions so that we can get underway with it. And, of course, the subject matter, here it is. The Porky
there's the
Quiz.
first set of questions, then.
Well, see, here you go
Have you got the second set of questions under your chair?
There is no second set of questions.
Stuck onto your chair with a bit of double-sided tape?
There is no second set of questions. Now, what I will say is that this may come as a bit of a surprise to the guys behind the glass, because they don't normally do the Porky Quiz.
Yeah.
But what we normally have is a sound for when you get one wrong and a sound for when you get one right. Now, I don't know if you guys have managed to get that together. They possibly have or they possibly have not.
OK, well, they'll invent one right now.
But I'm sure they can I'm sure they can come up with it.
OK.
Now, this is on Facebook Live, so if you're not watching it, you should be. So please get yourselves over to Facebook Live and watch it, where it is now being... what are you doing now? You're waving your phone around.
I've tweeted it out on my phone.
Oh, well, why don't you put your phone away?
The link.
Why don't you put your phone... Well, give me the phone. I'll put it in your pocket.
No, put it in your pocket.
Put it in your pocket, OK, because we don't want any cheating, obviously. So are you ready for the questions?
I'm ready for the questions.
Now, whether there will be a noise at the end, I'm not sure, but I will tell you whether you get them right or wrong.
Yeah.
Right, we've got 10 questions on the subject of the Open, which gets underway, of course, on Thursday.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite subjects.
Question number 1.
Yes.
Who was the winner of last year's Open?
Last year's Open?
Yeah.
The winner?
Yes.
It was the first. Yeah, I do. It was a first-time winner.
Was it?
Yeah.
OK.
First-time winner. American.
I can't give you any clues.
First-time winner American. Coming back to try and retain his trophy this year. And his name was... began with D. So it might be Dennis.
Dennis.
But I don't think it is Dennis. I think it's something like...
I'm sure there are only golfers called Dennis.
No, I don't think there are there? So I think it was Dustin. So I think it could be...
I need the proper name.
It could be Dustin Johnson.
Is that your answer?
Yes.
Incorrect.
No!
It was, of course, Henrik Stenson.
Henrik Stenson.
Who's not American and whose name doesn't begin with D. Question number 2. Which course has hosted the most Open tournaments?
The most Open tournaments... now, I think I know this, but I'm going to put a bit of logic into this as well. Probably, almost certainly, St Andrews, who I think have hosted... Is this part of the question, by the way? Do I have to tell you the number?
You don't have to tell me the number.
Right.
You just have to tell me which course.
Right. Well, I'm going to say A, St Andrews, and I'm going to qualify my answer by saying I think there've been 29 there.
There have been 29.
Thank you.
How do you know that?
Because I do.
That is an extraordinary guess.
Thank you.
All right, I'll put that down as one correct one.
What do you mean you put it down as one correct one? I got it right.
Well, you did get it right.
So it's correct.
Yeah, but the only way that you...
doubt that I'll put it down.
Well, I mean, I'm doubting it because I don't know how you would know... You wouldn't know who won it last year, but you would know that there were 29 times that St Andrews had hosted it.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Well, because I have a deep knowledge of golf.
Okay,
anyway, go on,
Well, since you've got such a deep knowledge of golf, to the nearest 10 yards, question number 3, what is the length of Royal Birkdale? Which, of course, is where the Open will be held this year.
Yes. I mean, the whole of Royal Birkdale.
Yeah,
first hole.
I mean, everybody who plays golf knows the length of the course.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
What's the length of the course?
The length of the course?
Yeah, in yards.
In yards.
Yeah. And you can go 10, you've got 10 either way.
Sure you don't want it in miles?
No.
No, in yards.
I want it in yards.
Right. So that's like 18 times the length of each hole, is it?
Well, it's yes.
I mean, it's not like from the entrance to the golf club.
No, it's the course itself.
The course, yeah.
You know nothing about golf, do you?
Yeah, of course I do. So it's from the tee on...
I'm slightly worried you're reading backwards through my paper.
Hang on. So I'm
going to put more paper around.
It's on the tee from hole 1 to the... cup on 18.
Everybody who knows about golf knows what the yardage is of a golf course and knows and understands what it means.
Okay, well...
I need a number.
Yeah, okay. I'd say, let me see... I would say it is it's 5,470 yards.
Incorrect.
No.
It's 7,156.
No,
that's
too
not
long.
even
It's
close.
too long. It's got longer. It's got
Question
longer
number
since I was
4.
last there.
What is Ian Poulter's highest finish position?
In the Open?
Yes, in the Open.
Ian Poulter finished second.
Second.
That's
is
my
correct.
answer.
Yeah,
Oh.
That's 2 out of 4. Now, question number 5. Who won the first ever Open Championship?
The first ever Open Championship was in 1860, and Tom Morris Sr. finished second by 1 stroke to a local man called William.
Why are you pretending you can't remember it? You've obviously got some kind of cheating device going on.
No.
You've obviously got some kind of cheating device going on. There's no thinking aloud. You're not thinking aloud. You haven't said thinking aloud once, which is what you always say when you're not cheating.
I think it was William McCreesh.
Incorrect.
No. So what's the
answer is Willie Park Sr.
Oh, crikey. Look how close I got.
Yeah, well, that's
and who
not
finished
close
second?
He beat old Tom Morris.
Thank you, by 1 stroke.
At what course?
I deserve half a point for that.
Don't.
I got William.
No.
I got the fact
Rubbish.
that Tom Morris finished second.
No.
I got the date, 1860.
I don't care about the date.
You
the
bum.
answer was a name which you got wrong.
You bum.
Question number 6. Who shares the record for the lowest score after 36 holes?
After 36?
Yes.
Well, that's irrelevant because there's 72 holes.
Why is it irrelevant? It's a statistic for the Open.
That's rubbish. That's a statistic nobody in the world would know.
Well, I don't know how you knew that St Andrews had hosted 29 events.
Really? Because I've researched.
Oh, right.
powers,
Well, why didn't you research this then?
Because it's an irrelevant fact.
Okay. Do you not know then?
So you need the name of somebody.
I need the names of people who share the record.
You share the record?
Yes.
Right. I know one of them.
Okay.
Tom Watson.
And who's the other?
You didn't ask for the other. You said the
I need
names
the
of
names
one.
of the people who share it. The question is, who shares the record?
How many are there?
I'm not telling you that. I can't tell you that.
Well, OK, I'll go on naming 5 golfers then, shall I?
Well, you don't know the answer, do you?
Yes, I do. Tom Watson.
Okay.
Tom Watson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tom Watson and Tom Watson.
No, Tom Watson. And the other one...
I'll have to hurry you.
The other one is Tiger Woods.
Incorrect.
No, it's not.
No, neither one of them does that. It's
Well,
Nick
who's it?
Faldo and Brandt Schnedeker.
Schnedeker, yeah. Oh, yeah. They've made a statue of Brandt Schnedeker, you know, outside every open golf tournament in the world.
He's quite a famous player. When did an Englishman
Rubbish.
last win the Open? That's question number 7.
An Englishman?
Yeah.
You're talking about an Englishman?
When did an Englishman last win the Open? It's a pretty straightforward question. And we're running out of time as well.
OK, I think it must almost certainly be...
And the question is when rather than who, right?
Nick Faldo, 96.
Incorrect.
No!
Nick Faldo, 92.
Oh, rubbish!
Yes.
No,
It's
you're wrong.
correct.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's what it says here.
What?
Nick Faldo, 1992. We haven't got time for any
I
discussion.
meant 92.
You got it wrong.
I meant 92.
Question number 8. Which American golfer has the most runner-up finishes in the Open?
The American golfer, most run-up finishes
Yes, in the
Open. That would be... sorry, that's thinking aloud, but my
The
jaw was
first time
rattling.
you've thought aloud.
Phil Mickelson is the answer.
Incorrect.
No, it's not.
It's not. It's Jack Nicklaus.
Jack
Question number 9. How many golfers play at the start of the tournament? I.e., how many golfers are entered into the start of the Open?
Start of the Open?
Yeah.
Golfers?
Yes, I need a number.
Yes, OK.
Go on.
It's 120.
Incorrect.
No!
It's 156.
156? That
Yeah.
sounds like a lot.
You got so far 2 out of 9. I predicted 2 out of 10. So
some of the questions are just bum questions.
No,
Can't
these
answer
are
a bum
very,
question.
very good questions. Where will the Open be held next year?
Next year?
Yeah.
You mean after Royal Birkdale?
Yes.
Do you know what I think it is?
What do you think it is?
I think it's a red. What do they call it? Red ribbon year. Because I think with my extensive knowledge, thinking aloud here.
Yeah.
Normally you'd say, well, it's in England this year, we go back to Scotland, but
Yeah.
I believe it's going to Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland.
Is that right?
Yes.
It's not right.
No!
It's wrong.
I thought it was
It's
right.
Carnoustie.
Carnoustie.
Up in Scotland.
I'll
So I'm
see the
afraid,
high road and you take the low road.
after much research on your part, 2 extra days, by the way, to study, because it wasn't on Friday as it normally is. You got 2 out of 10.
But I got very close on a lot of the
Absolutely
questions.
hopeless.
I got the winner,
No.
the first one.
Rubbish.
You wouldn't give me half a
2
point
out of
for.
10. Absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
That was the Porky Quiz.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was just a gerrymandered load of old cobblers.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. The warm-up with the 2 mics on Talk Sport.